Welcome back to Saddle Up with Steve and Jay right here on Horse Racing World Channel. We're the source for all the horse racing news, information, and your occasional free pick, and hopefully some of those will be successful for you. And joined as usual by my former partner from the Inside Racing Radio Show, Mr. Steve Pollack. Good evening, Steve.
Jay, good evening. How are you doing, my friend?
Doing well, sir. We're right in the middle of a huge Del Mar and Saratoga meet. We've both got some stories to talk about, how this meet's gone so far, and looking forward to digging into it and talking about some results and talking about the big weekend coming up this week. Because really, there's a feature race in every weekend this time of the year, and this time of the year, the feature race is the Arlington Million. So we'll be digging into that one a little and looking forward to that.
Man, we've had some fun with that race over the years. I know you have, Jay. I know the kind of races that you love, and boy, it's a shame that we're not playing it at Arlington. I know I'm going way back, but it looks like it's going to be at Colonial now for the second year in a row, and I love that turf course. So it should be fun talking about that race. Jay, the highlight of last week for me was your pick on Saturday. So I really got to congratulate you. Just an outstanding job. If you go through the charts at Del Mar. And I'm going to let you give the exact numbers, but if you go through the charts at Del Mar, we just haven't had a lot of $400, $500 trifectas the whole meet. And I think you doubled that, buddy. So congratulations on a fantastic hit. Please take it away and tell us what you did go over. And hopefully we had some fans out there who were able to cash in.
Yeah, I'll be happy to, Steve. Yeah, so my key to that play was Prince of Del Mar. This was a horse from Andy Mathis, one of the trainers that really suits Del Mar, the best. He's always had tremendous success down there, and Andy Mathis. He was still due for his first win, and he's still looking for it, but not for lack of trying. Prince
You
of
had to
Del
think he had it, Jay, at the 16th pole. I thought he was winning.
Oh, he was clear in the stretch, and Kanani, who was the second best horse on speed figures for my figures, anyway, just bared down on him. And Prince of Del Mar didn't give up. I mean, he just fought back, and it was, as they say in Australia, it was a ding dong battle down the stretch. However, at the end of the day, Kanani just got up by maybe not a nose, but less than a head, and that was a close photo. But nevertheless, our listeners were happy to hear it because we had both of them, and Kanani was actually the better price. So unfortunately, the win bet didn't cash. The place bet was okay, but that trifecta was sweet because the reason why I always use that all slot almost every time is because something unusual can happen in the minor legs of a trifecta. In this case, Sonio Divino, a 30 to 1 shot, came in third and keyed a huge trifecta, which paid a total of $928.75.
Not away, buddy. I mean, that's a very good try. And folks, go back and look at the charts. I'm a huge chart reader. Jay, I read the charts Mondays and Tuesdays like a hawk. You know, right now I'm doing 4 different tracks that I'm looking at every week, and I obviously go over the races very carefully at Del Mar. You're just not seeing tries pay that much this meet at Del Mar so far. So that was a diamond in the rough, and you found it. So big time congratulations to you. And I hope there were a few listeners that made a score out there.
Well, thank you very much, Steve. I appreciate that. And hopefully there's more where that came from both of us. And of course, there are certainly more to be had. We give out a free play every week, sometimes a couple, and we go over some feature races. But I did want to mention that those plays are available in full cards from the Del Mar meet. And I also throw in a Saratoga card on Saturday at racingjason.com. So if you're going to be out at the track, look at picking up some of those selections. We'll try to make you some more money. But Steve, talking about more money, one of the big impedance to making money has been these bet downs. Essentially, as everybody knows, and as everybody's been agonizing over it, these last minute bet downs where the prices drop, and it seems like even at the first call, they're still dropping. With some of these delays in the tote picking them up. For the last week or so, or maybe more like 8, 9 days.
5 days now, Jay. Five
Huh?
days. It's been
5 days?
5 days now.
Okay.
4
We've
days last week and one today.
Yeah, so we've had these limits in computer aided wagering where in the win pools the betting is shut off 2 minutes before post. Steve, you've been watching these a little more closely. Tell me what effects you've seen.
Yeah, Jay, and again, this is at Del Mar because remember, New York has already done this.
Correct.
And I'll tell you what I'm seeing, folks, and this is a great opportunity for all of us that are not the computer bettors. It's still happening at 2 minutes, but now you can go back and reevaluate what it is that you think about your bet. And what you need to do, folks, is wait for that 2 minute click, see the next click after that, and then reevaluate and make your decision based on that. It's a gigantic difference, and it's a great thing for all of us. If these horses are bet down, Jay, and that's very possible. I had a horse that I really liked that did not win on it's a Saturday or Sunday's card. It was one of the two cards. Waited all day for the horse, and I really thought I was going to get an overlay. The horse was 12-1 morning line and was sitting there at 22, 23, 22, 23. 2 minutes to post, boom, 8-1. Okay, so look, that horse came up on whose ever computer program it was and what have you, and that's going to happen a lot to someone who's working hard and looking for a diamond in the rough. Then I reevaluated. The price drifted up another click. I think it went off at 9-1, and I decided not to play. Okay, now the horse ran fourth and did not have a good trip. Might be a good bet back. It was slew something, Jay. I'm sorry I don't remember. I should have that information in front of me, but I wasn't prepared to talk about this as much as I thought we are going to. And it's great that we're talking about it. The bottom line is that I was able to evaluate what I thought the win price, which we haven't been able to do. And it's a huge thing for all of the people that are trying to actually either break even or just lose a little bit or make a profit. And I think it's a huge difference maker, Jay. And so far, I really, really like what I'm seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an opportunity we have where we can get out of those bets. Where before it's like if the gate opens and these horses pop the gate and you're still seeing them drop, you had no recourse. Now you can look at it, and if that 8-1 shot that you projected is down to 4-1 or 5-1, and pull that bet out now. So it's a big advantage here. Steve, I'm curious. I don't know if you've been watching quite as closely at Saratoga. I have not either. But in Saratoga, the early pick five is also covered by the lack in the early shutoff of wagering. And is this something that you've been watching for as far as like the odds in that first race in terms of whether you get in or not? And if you haven't yet, are you considering it?
I'm really just watching the late races at Saratoga, Jay. Generally turning on my computer on maybe right around the third or fourth race. Usually the tournaments that I'm playing in, and I haven't played many. I have played a couple days where I might play something that's the entire Saratoga card. But really what I'm looking for is in the middle of the card is when the tournaments start. For the most part, I'll go back and review the charts maybe to see if there's some sort of bias. But I haven't really been watching those three races. So unfortunately, I can't give you the best information there. But I can tell you there, I'm not seeing major odds changes there. And whether this is really affecting the pick five, Jay, my thought would be that these bets, these computer guys are going to play that anyway. They're going to play they're going to have certain methods and ways to play that are mathematically very, very good. And they're going to be tough in there. But I still think it's a value pool. And if you like something, then I think by all means, I think you can still play it. But yeah, it's always bothersome to know that somebody's using a computer that's using some very, very good formulas that are figuring these things out. So it's really hurt the whole game in everything. But as far as this win pool goes out here, I still feel that we can make those last second bets and have a good idea of, hey, is this a value horse or is this not a value horse? I waited all day today for the later part of the card today. The last two races did not get my price at all. In the seventh race, the horse did win, but I was not betting this horse I think he went off at 8-5. I was probably betting at 7-2, so it wasn't close. And in the last race, I liked a horse that was like 8-1 that went off at 4-1, and I did not bet that one either. I did bet some exotics today, but at least I was able to evaluate it and say no for me at this price. And that still might be happening a lot, but at least you're not betting where you're going, hey, in the long run, this horse at 4-1 is a great bet. and bet the bet and have the horse go off a 2-1, where it wouldn't be a great bet.
Yeah, no question about it. I can't wait to see how this unfolds later in the meet and seeing these opportunities that maybe we didn't have before, or getting out of these bad opportunities that we would have bet and been stuck with. But Steve, talking about Saratoga, the big race last week was the feature race, the Whitney, an exciting race last week. And let's take a look at that, and we'll talk about it a bit. And let me just go ahead into the screen sharing mode, and we will go from there. Give me a second here. All righty. Here we go. And you're going to see last week's Whitney from Saratoga.
In the 98th running of the Whitney. And Fierceness did break very alertly, but Mama's Gold is sprinting up to take the early lead. On the inside, Highland
Yeah,
Falls
they're saying it, but we're not.
Second, Fierceness in the clear, just in front of White
Yeah, can
Abario.
you hear me?
And on the outside of them, Contrary Thinking is moving up to ensure an even faster pace. It's another two back to Skippy Longstocking, who's well off them this afternoon. Post Time, Disarm, and Sierra Leone. 23-4 for these two long shots. Contrary Thinking on the outside. And Mama's Gold, they've pulled 8 lengths clear. Hall of Famer John Velasquez has Fierceness getting a beautiful trip in third, and White Abario a length behind him, as is Highland Falls down at the rail. Post Time, Skippy Longstocking.
There we go.
One another. Disarm is going for an early bid, hugging the rail, and Sierra Leone continues to amble along at the back through a half and
so that's a 250.
Mama's Gold opens up a few now on Contrary Thinking.
So you have the 250 to 1 shots up front, and Fierceness just never really kicking it in.
After a huge early bid from Skippy Longstocking, that was a sudden move. He went to battle. Fierceness takes control, though, and moves right by him.
Now Fierceness kicks in briefly. He had the benefit of that early pace, but he doesn't hold it long.
Fierceness is the one to catch. He has a 3-length lead. Sierra Leone down the center of the track is coming with powerful strides, and Highland Falls is in there too. But it's Sierra Leone who takes the lead from last to first. Highland Falls trying his best. Sierra Leone has won the Whitney. Highland Falls.
All right, Steve. So sorry for the technical glitch earlier on, but we caught the highlights of it. In any case, yeah, just to review, so you had those two 50 to 1 shots. You had Mama's Gold, who had no chance, taken on by the Chad Brown horse, Contrary Thinking, who I think does have a future. And Mama's Gold, to my surprise, actually put him away. Fierceness sat back, was several lengths off that pace, and then kind of, scooped around and did make the lead at the top of the stretch, and then just was completely overwhelmed. And not only did Sierra Leone sweep by him, but Highland Gold did as well. A huge race from Highland Gold, and finishing, Fierceness then dropped to 5th. What do you make of it?
Well, Fierceness has done this before, Jay. He's a very, very hard horse to read. He looks unbelievable, and then everybody's got him as the best horse in the country. And then he goes and lays a stinker. I mean, this is what, the 4th time he's absolutely laid an egg. The race before the Breeders' Cup, when he was a 2-year-old, is one that comes to mind without looking at his PPs. And then he ended up paying $30 in the Breeders' Cup after running an unbelievable first race out. The Kentucky Derby, he laid an egg completely. And we know the pace didn't go right for him there. I mean, this is a horse that when things go his way, he can run a good race. And even when things don't go his way, he can run a good race. He did it at Del Mar. So he's a very, very in and out horse. And there's no doubt about it. He's a hard horse to read. I was very disappointed in Post Time, because when I looked at the final time of the race, they didn't run a very good race. I'm not making Sierra Leone a number 1 horse unless there's 5 speed horses to set it up. That's when he runs his best, and he fires every other time, but he usually gets beat when there's a slow pace. So I saw some people say, wow, this is now the number 1 horse. Well, I don't know that I would jump that far, because he doesn't run that great when there's not a lot of pace in front of him. He got a lot of pace in front of him this time. So Were those the best horses running? I don't know. I mean, I thought those were going to be the best horses. I've sort of got the 3-year-olds ahead of them now.
Well, it's hard to say just in terms of those rankings. The latest daily racing form rankings are out, and Mindframe, despite not running in the race, actually moved
He's
to the
up to
top of the
number
class.
one.
And Sierra Leone was second. Raging Torrent, your horse that won the Met Mile, was third, followed by Fierceness and Nisos cracks it to
Raging
fifth.
Torrent's out. He's retired. So that they need to take
Oh,
that
Raging
sucker
Torrent
out.
retired?
He's out. He injured himself. He is
Oh,
done forever.
oh wow. I had not kept up. Thank you for
Yeah.
breaking that news, Steve.
And he was,
And I'm sorry to hear that.
they shouldn't have him in the same rating because he was not running the same races anyway, right, Jay? He's a miler at most. He's a 7 furlong horse. Where were they going to run him? They certainly were never going to run him against these horses in the Breeders' Cup Classic. The most he was going to run in was the Breeders' Cup Mile or cut back to the $2 million race in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Now it's a non-factor because he is not going to run again.
Okay, well, that's good to know. And I think that, kind of answers some questions, but it also raises a question. What do you do with Fierceness at this point? At this point, that was Fierceness's favorite track. It was his favorite distance. A mile and an eighth is the distance he's been the most successful with. And he had the benefit of pace tool, and unfortunately, he did capitalize on it briefly, but then he was just overwhelmed by Sierra Leone and several others dropping back to fifth. So if you're Todd Pletcher, if you're Mike Repole, what do you do with Fierceness at this point? Do you point him for the classic, or do you say, Raging Torrent is out now? Maybe there's an opening in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile.
No way I'm ever running that horse in the dirt mile. I'm laying him off. He ran an unbelievable race in the Breeders' Cup Classic last year. He's a classic horse. He's running for 5 times the money. They don't need the $1 million purse of the Breeders' Cup Mile. I'd absolutely run him in the Classic. I'd probably lay him off until then. And he runs one of his big races, and there's not as much pace signed up. He could absolutely win that race. No doubt about it. These horses are not machines, Jay. They run in, they run out. And this guy runs in, out, in, out. I mean, he looks like a Richter scale. He's always way up, then way down. So I have no issues with him if he's laid off and he's working good coming into that race. And he's got a pace scenario that's good. Maybe he draws toward the middle or outside part of the track at Del Mar. He could win that race for sure.
Okay, well, I'm glad you're still confident and haven't lost faith in him. And now with that disappointing showing, if he does go in the Classic, he'll probably be a bit of a price.
It's hard to get a price on these horses that are like him, because they're always, always, always followed. And they're always, oh, this was a Derby favorite. And I've cashed on him every other time, and I'm going to stick with him. So I don't know if you'll ever get that price. I do want to go back and say the one horse, I was really disappointed in Post Time because he was the price that got the huge pace. And I wasn't sure that the pace was going to be that huge. And I said to you that I thought Sierra Leone, Fierceness were probably the 2 to beat. I think I put Fierceness in second, Sierra Leone third. But I did think that if someone was going to have an opportunity, that maybe it could be Post Time. And I tell you what, Post Time had no excuses. Didn't get a great trip in there, but the pace was hot enough for him to make a run. And he just did not show up. And I'm not sure if it's that distance or what it is, but he has run some huge races, including in the Breeders' Cup Mile. But he sure didn't show up, and he was the horse that I had my money on.
You think he might be more of a miler?
It's possible. It's possible. To me, there's a bigger hurdle at 1.25 miles than any other distance. I think horses that are milers can still run good at 1.125 miles, but man, when they get to 1.25 miles, especially if the pace is fast like that, they won't run. But 1.125 miles, you should have had some run in there. I don't know what happened to Post Time. And again, I got my price. That was a big price horse that I thought had a chance. And those are, those don't come along all the time, Jay. Those are the ones that you want to be right on. And, listen, we've been right on some prices and we've been wrong on some prices. And I certainly did like that horse and was wrong.
Yeah, no question. But the price was worth it. Sometimes, if you have a good faith belief and the price is there, you take a swing. That's what this game's about.
It's still about that, Jay. If you've got a horse that's 15, 14, 16, and again, I'm not sure I remember what price range he was. Okay, but you're never going to have the fastest horse that's going to get the perfect trip that has all the class at 15 to 1. You've got to make some sort of a of a case to get a price horse. And it just seems lately, the last couple of years that people are getting sharper, and a lot of these price horses are not going off at the big prices that you think. And when you get one that you like I like that one, and they don't run, it is disappointing because you don't know when you're going to get a big race like that where you're going to get a nice price horse that you really think has a chance. So disappointed in post time, yes. Will I follow him? Of course. You know what? I'm following them all. I'm not trying to throw out any horse because of any bad or whatever. You never know where they might show up. There might be a spot that's perfect for them or what have you. But that was a spot that I really thought a deep closer had a great chance. And I was right about what happened. That pace was just ridiculously fast. Those two horses ran like rabbits. They set it up for a late runner. They just didn't set it up for that one.
Yeah. So, in terms of news coming out of the Whitney, what we learned was, Mindframe, who did not run, Pletcher held him back, didn't want to run his two horses together, and maybe he ran the wrong horse in that race. But who can blame him with Fierceness's record at Saratoga? Anyway, Mindframe will be meeting up with Sierra Leone in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, which is the big older horse race in the fall back in New York. As a result of that, White Barrio, who is an East Coast-based horse and was fully expected to run in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, will now be coming out here for the Pacific Classic, where he will take on Nisos and probably, but we don't know for sure, journalism. Because while Nisos doesn't have a lot of other options that make sense, journalism does. Journalism can also go back east and contest the Travers. And I know that Mike McCarthy is still thinking about that. And that domino makes it an interesting choice for Baeza. Baeza was probably looking at the Pacific Classic himself, but if the waters get too deep now with White Barrio, and if journalism goes, he may be that domino may flip over to the Pennsylvania Derby. So there's a lot of cards up in the air right now.
Wow, there sure are, Jay. That was all really interesting. I got really excited thinking about it. I've been really thinking a lot about these horses lately, these 3-year-olds, if they're going to be the right ones. And, the horse that I would like to see get a chance on a fast track would be journalism. Because if you remember, Jay, we went through the Triple Crown series, and all 3 times it was a sloppy track. And we haven't seen a fast track. And I just think that the difference might get bigger and bigger between those two. And I'll tell you what, on a fast track, there might not be any difference between those two. Journalism is really, really getting good. And I'll be excited to see whichever way he goes. If he goes in the Travers, we're going to see the matchup we all want to see. And if he goes in the Pacific Classic, it's going to be local, and he's going to run against a really good horse in Nisos, who I'm not sure how good he's going to be at 1.25 miles. He was unbelievable at 1 1/16. And if those of you who think that was a great trip because he sucked up the rail every step of the way and saved all the ground, that's a really tough trip at Del Mar. I talked about that before the meet came on, and Nisos just looks like, again, we were talking about him before the Derby last year, and you and I were so excited about this horse. He's a heck of a racehorse. And if Baffert's got him going good, one way or the other, these matchups are looking pretty promising. If we can just not split all these horses up too much, we could have 2 really nice races coming up in 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, no question about it. We'll see what Mike McCarthy decides to do. He's got the key to this whole puzzle, and we'll see what he does with journalism, and that'll be a great race wherever he goes. But sure would be nice to see him locally, wouldn't it?
That would be, I mean, either way. I mean, think about it, Jay. If you're them, the Travers just has a little bit more prestige, as good as the Pacific Classic is. There's a little more money, and there's a little bit more prestige. And then you go back and maybe you don't get a fast track back there. You never know. But if you do get a fast track, there is an excuse. There is a way you can say, hey, we can turn the tides on this horse, because I really like to see journalism get a shot on a fast track. And again, I'm the one who picked. I've been picking the other horse the whole way. But I'd really, if the odds were switched, I might switch to journalism.
Yeah. So we will find out soon enough.
Yes, we will. Exciting stuff, Jay.
What's that, Steve?
That's exciting. I think we're really, really in for a great Breeders' Cup Classic for sure, because all these horses have to come together. And I'm sure there's a couple that we're probably forgetting about. There's probably a horse or two in the Midwest. I know O'Neill sent the winner from last year's Pacific Classic overseas, and what an unbelievable race he ran there for 10 million. And I haven't seen him since. I don't know if he's coming back for the Breeders' Cup Classic, but we could really have ourselves a really great rest of the year in this classic division.
Yeah, and don't forget about the Japanese contingent. I think Forever Young is still going to make his presence felt.
Well, you know where he drew last year? He drew the rail. And I tell you what, I hate the rail draw for a mile and a quarter or a mile and an eighth or even a mile race at Del Mar, unless you're speed, and he's not. So if you're, he's got a built-in excuse already. And I think he's the one, he laid an egg completely in that Dubai race, right? He laid
Yeah.
an egg in the race where the Doug O'Neill looked like a winner with 10 yards to go and he got run down. But this really could be a really exciting, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. Forever Young could have a big chance in that race.
Yeah. Well, let's look at our feature races for the week. We're going to look at three of them, and we're going to go in depth into one of them, the local race this week. At Saratoga this week, the Saratoga Oaks is going. You have the undefeated Laurelin from the Graham Motion Barn in a rematch with Opulent Restraint from Chad Brown. They were a neck apart, and there's a shipper that they have from Europe, Bobby Flay and Miguel Clement are bringing over Go-Go Boots, who's been very successful over at the Ascot meet and yeah, has run against much tougher competition, including the Oaks over there. And so we'll see what Go-Go Boots can do. Might be a slight class edge. And one I kind of like a little, Sigh No More, Brendan Walsh and Arad Ortiz. And that one's a bit of a price, 8-1. So, don't ignore that one. But Steve, the race we're going to dig into is the Grade 1 Sword Dancer. That's the feature race on the card, and it's a contentious heat it is. And on paper, the two featured horses are Nation's Pride from Charlie Appleby, who has run out here in some of our big races, including winning the Arlington Million last year. So you kind of wonder why aren't they taking another crack at the Arlington Million? And the big horse back east right now, Far Bridge, the other horse from Miguel Clement, who had a nice starter going in the Oaks. But this one has been running huge races at odds-on prices. Steve, have you had a chance to take a look at the Sword Dancer a little bit, and what's your picture of this one?
Yeah, I have it. I got to tell you, I don't. For my handicapping, I didn't want to spend a lot of time on it. I did think you made a great point. Why is Nation's Pride in this race and not defending his title in the Arlington Million? I guess it's not a big difference in purse. I'm not sure what the thinking is. I really am not. I know Nation's Pride has run well at Saratoga, but he took the Arlington Million last year. The purse is $1 million versus 750. Certainly a very nice horse. He's fresh. I don't necessarily like these horses coming from from Dubai where he was running, but that was back in April. He's been freshened. It's a brilliant trainer. And I tell you, Jay, you were the one who keyed us on to Charlie Appleby, what, 4 or 5 years ago when he started winning all these races?
It
He went
was.
through a span of what, about a year and maybe it was 15, 16 months where he wasn't winning. He was only winning at like 25%. And I'm serious about this when I say this, right? Only
Yeah.
25%, which is when a trainer's winning at 25%, you're going, what the heck is going on? How are they winning this high a percentage? He was only winning at 25%. This
Yeah.
is a horse that comes from overseas that has, that was back over there. And it seems like those are the ones that he is just off the charts great with. So I don't really have any knocks on Nation's Pride in here. He has been training at Saratoga, by the way, but this horse was overseas, part of his contingent. I think that's a big deal. And Farbridge is such a nice horse. I can't find a horse to challenge these two. When I see a race like that, Jay, we're talking about a $25 try. And the one horse for Charlie Appleby in here, this El Cordobas, if you like that one, that's great. But to me, I look at this horse's turf record. It's not quite as good. It doesn't look like he's been facing the better horses. I know Pratt's riding, but he's only 2 for 7 on the turf. And the wins were against 4 other horses in one of the races. So I'm going to pass on him. I think it's one of the favorites. And for me, it's a race that I would tread very lightly. If I'm going to play races, it's going to be into this and play some sort of a pick 5 or pick 4 through it. I think one of the winners is going to be one of the two favorites. What do you think?
I think you're most likely right. I'll be intrigued what El Cordobes can do, but obviously they're both Charlie Appleby horses. William Buick is his go-to rider, and he's one of the two best turf riders in the world, along with Ryan Moore, who rides for Aidan O'Brien. So I've got to think that Buick is on the better of the two. The form might be a little bit disguised. Keep in mind, on the last race, the big turf race in Dubai, he did finish up the track a little bit in that one, but that was a $6 million turf race. It's one of the biggest turf races in the world. So that drew that star from Hong Kong, Romantic Warrior, and he just fought every step and lost by a nose to Soul Rush, who's an up and coming star. So Nation's Pride was in really deep. So yeah, I've got to think this is the better of the two. So yeah, I do think that the win end is going to go between these two. To make a little bit of money on this at a price, I just want to say El Razine from Todd Pletcher and Dylan Davis, not far behind Farbridge, 3 lengths off, possibly the best turf horse in America in the Bowling Green, and is 15 to 1, is one to look at as a trifecta star. This one is 2 for 3 with a second at Saratoga. That second was last time, so El Razine could make the prices interesting in the exotics.
Okay, Jay, a lot of the folks haven't that have been listening now, or perhaps across the country. We've had some listeners from some different areas, and they haven't really necessarily heard some of the things that you and I have been saying regularly, and maybe they don't take it as seriously. But I just want to say something that you said there, where William Buick and
Ryan Moore?
yeah, are the best riders, on turf in the world. When they come here, what's amazing to me, Jay, is you got riders in the Breeders' Cup like a Ortiz, like a Pratt, like a Rispoli, and like some unbelievable riders, and yet 50 yards into the race against those guys, Buick and they'll always be in the right spot. It's unbelievable. I know they're on good horses, but I don't know how they do it. But what I see when I see superior riders, like when I watch Pratt ride out here, or I watch Irad ride back east, and I know they're riding good horses. Or I watch Jose because Jose is really riding the turf great. When they ride against inferior riders, they always manage to get position early. It's incredible. But when I watch all the best riders come together, you'd think, well, they're all the best riders. There's no way. And maybe they're on better horses, but there's no way they're going to outposition these other guys. And I got to be honest with you. I don't know how they do it, but those two guys it's unbelievable. 50 yards in the race. I'm like, how did he get there against great other riders? So, they're riding more turf races for one, and they're probably riding better turf horses all the time.
Yeah,
But
they're
they're
riding.
always riding on turf, right? And
Oh yeah,
maybe
and they're riding the best turf horses in the world.
right, right. And again, sometimes they don't necessarily send the best horses over here, but they are the best turf riders because when they come over here, it seems like they're always able to outposition. And this is why that clicks to me. And I want to give a reason as to why. When you folks see these guys come over, watch where they end up getting their horses. Why are they always saying how these guys are always in the unbelievable spot in these big races? Are they always just riding a 2 to 5 shot? Not the case. Not the case at all. They're just incredible grass riders. They figure it out here at Del Mar, which is an extremely tricky course in Santa Anita. They figure it out at Keeneland, which is the other place that we've been having a lot of Breeders' Cups at these 3 locations of late. And when they get there, they're the best grass riders. Those two guys, they really are that ride in the Breeders' Cup for sure.
Yeah, and also it seems like those guys are not afraid to get an inside position and save that ground with the confidence that they'll be able to find a hole and make it through. Some of our riders, like especially Arad, well, he makes his own holes, but those guys really naturally just have that instinct where they're not intimidated by the rail. Where you've made a comment, Steve, and I agree with you. Antonio Verzu, one of my favorite riders and somebody that I noticed a long time ago. He's a fine rider on both dirt or turf. He just won the Santa Anita meet for the first time, which is a huge accomplishment because Juan Hernandez is a incredibly talented rider,
Sure.
and he probably rivals after Arad and Jose Ortiz. Juan Hernandez may be the third best dirt rider in the country, and he's no slouch on turf. But you've made a comment that Frzu doesn't like to go inside and hug those turns like some of the better riders do.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you could have seen it today. I mean, Tyler Bays in the last race, just an incredible ride, especially because the rails were way out. And Kazushi Kimura, who's always been outside, he won a 1 3/8 race last week where he hugged the rail every step of the way. And today he was on a horse that I bet in the 5th race, and he tried to come inside with the rail at 30 feet. And I said, good luck, pal, even though I had a bet on him at 8-1. And sure enough, he got stopped. And after they crossed the line, what was all the TVG people were saying? Man, that horse was best. He just couldn't get through. The rails are at 30 feet. It's going to be real hard to get through at Del Mar. You got to make the adjustments. It's a lot easier when those guys come, the guys that we're talking about, because the rails are always at 0 and there is always more room on the inside. But what I find incredible is that against all the best riders who are always trying to ride that spot, that those guys get here and all of a sudden they're able to get that spot. And how is that? That a guy like Pratt or a guy like Saez, who are incredible riders in their own right, they just are not able to get the position that these other guys are able to get every time. And I just find that amazing as to how good those two guys really are. And I just think those are the two best turf riders in the world that we see, as you said.
No question. So we talked about the race that Nation's Pride is passing on, the Arlington Million, one of the most historic and famous turf races in the country. Excuse me. And yeah, we kind of miss the old Arlington track. It's one of the best racetracks ever, and it'd really be a shame, by the way, if one of the reasons they sold it and knocked it down was because the new Chicago Bears football stadium is going to go there, and now it's kind of like, maybe it will, maybe it won't. I'm kind of thinking, I think maybe you should have been a little more sure before you knocked down Arlington. But we did have Darren Rogers on the Inside Racing Show before, and I'd asked him because, as we all know, Churchill Downs has had a few problems with that turf course. This summer, it's been pretty consistent, so it seems like they've knocked the bugs out. But I asked Aaron, so are you putting the Arlington Million there for a year until you finally get the turf course fixed? He said, no, that's the permanent home. Colonial Downs is one of the most beautiful turf courses in the country, and with Arlington gone, might be the most beautiful and lush turf course in the country. It's certainly one of the capitals
Nice
of
turf
turf
course.
racing.
No
Yeah.
question. Nice turf course for sure.
Yeah. So I think if you're not going to have Arlington anymore, Colonial Downs, you couldn't find a better replacement. So let's take a look, Steve, at the Arlington Million. And that is race 11 on the Colonial Downs card tomorrow. And I did want to mention that I am throwing in, as a bonus, before I forget, the All Stakes Pick 4. In fact, I'm throwing in 5 races, but I'm only about to pick 4 and then 5 individual races, including the Secretariat, which will be one of the races I handicap separately. But the Arlington Million is a mile and a quarter on the turf. It's race 11. The big favorite here is Integration, and Integration has been a model of consistency. This has been a grade 1 horse running the last 4 races, 3 seconds, and before that, the grade 2 Red Smith. So Integration is certainly well deserving of the favorite role here. But there are a couple of interesting X factors here. You have Cairo shipping over from Europe with some success in Group 1 competition over there at the Ascot meet. And that's the English trainer Alice Haynes is coming over, and one of the top turf riders who we never hear about out here, but Ben Curtis, 28% back there at Colonial, takes them out, and Ben is a serious turf rider. And of course, the most interesting idea to me is after all this time, Mystic Dan making his turf debut in the Arlington Million. I didn't see that one coming. What do you think?
I think he's a good go against. I think he'll get bet because he's a Kentucky Derby winner. Um, this is a very, very tough thing to do. And one thing, Brian Hernandez will be riding the rail and saving every inch. You can guarantee what kind of trip he's going to get. But I would think, to me, that would be one of the reasons for playing the race, Jay. I don't know if this is a horse that you like, but I think he's a good go against in this race.
I don't think he's 9-2, and I think that's a fair price, but I don't think you're going to get 9-2. I think he's going to get bet down considerably lower than that due to name recognition, and he'll probably go off at second favorite to Integration. And if he's something like 5-2, 2-1, even 3-1, I don't know that that's a value on somebody like this that just doesn't have turf breeding that just jumps out at you and screams. He's bred. The turf breeding is passable, golden cents out of a Colonel John Mayer, but at the same time, it's not something that makes you say, "Wow, they should have tried this guy in turf all the time." So yeah, I'm frankly more interested in Cairo. I mean, that one's got some really impressive credentials over there. What do you think of Cairo?
Well, he's only got 2 wins on turf. He's got 3 wins in his life, and he really one of them was on a synthetic track. I mean, gosh, he's 100 to 1 and 40 to 1 against the horses that he ran against last time. I didn't watch those races. Usually I watch them and I can get a better idea. There is a lot of speed in this race, so it sets up for an American closer. They're a little bit more used to speed. This horse is only 7 to 2. I don't think I would throw him out. I mean, if I could get a price in here on it almost looks like Grand Sonata could play double digits. I knew his last race was a toss, or the one he ran 2 back where he got beat, over 50 lengths in the slop. The race before that at Keeneland, he had a ton of trouble. I think this is a decent distance for this horse. And again, last time out, he got beat by a very good Chad Brown horse. I think Grand Sonata has a chance. He's the price horse I'd be a little bit interested in here. 7, Grand
Yeah.
Sonata.
Yeah, I mean, the three we've talked about are all going to be relatively in the shorter range, as will Fort Washington, the Shug McGahee shipper. So Grand Sonata is absolutely going to be the best price of those and was right there to Fort Washington and not that far off integration. So he's been keeping company in the same zip code. And yeah, there's no question that this could be the day in a race that looks very contentious and that looks, I think, closer than people think. I'd be surprised if somebody bolts away and wins this one. I think it's going to be competitive down the stretch.
Yeah, but this is going to be the exact opposite of the other turf races that we talked about, Jay, because there's a lot of speed in this race. And we're going to talk about the Del Mar race, which we're going to get into a little bit, perhaps on what to look for when there's not a lot of pace. But this race definitely is different. There is a lot of pace, and I think that could play into Grand Sonata's hands. I give him an upset chance in there.
Yeah, be taking a look at that one as well, and I think you've convinced me to add him onto my ticket. So we're going to look as our big feature today, the one where we're going to dig in the deepest and go horse by horse on it. We're going to look at the Grade 2 Yellow Ribbon. And Steve, as you've, I think, quite aptly noted, not a lot of pace in this race. This is the kind of race where you could saddle a Budweiser Clydesdale and you might go to the front. So, let's see. Before we dig into this race, Steve, what's your strategy? I mean, when you have a race like this that has virtually no pace, what's your approach? How do you look at that? How do you single out or at least narrow down the contenders?
Okay, well, this is definitely a race with no pace. I mean, none. So there's 2 ways. There's 2 things that I look for. One is there a horse that has back races, or is there a reason that a horse could change style and get the lead? Because if I could, I think the horse that gets the lead in this race is going to have a chance. Can they run that race? Can they get loose? I don't want a horse that's going to slow the pace down and go 51 and be a half a length in front and then try to have him kick all home. What I want is a horse that maybe has some back races where they showed speed, or maybe is making an equipment change, or has a rider that go, you know what? I'm going to try to steal this race, because you can't let these horses be close. There's horses in here that have very big kick that can really run late. And there's European influence horses. There's even a Euro in here that's had 2 races in this country. That's the second thing I look for. Who has the best kick? Who's going to run good in a bunch? Euros run way better in these kind of races than the American horses. When they're slow pace, they're all bunched up. They come out of that bunch and they run good, and they're used to running races like that in a bunch where they have to absolutely fly home. So I'd look for horses with European influence, or I would try to look for a horse that could get the lead. But don't get the lead by half a length and be in front by half a length with a horse that's not normally a speed horse. Try to get a horse that'll be 2-3 in front, Jay. So when they turn the corner, hopefully those other horses are bunched up and maybe they don't get the right trips. Because when you're playing a front runner, you're generally not playing the fastest horse. Play the horse that could be 2 or 3 lengths clear at that point, and then maybe you have a shot. So either the speed or the opposite, where you got a horse that can kick in a bunch.
Oh, okay. I look for a couple of things myself. One thing I look for is a horse that's been closing but at a shorter distance and then getting a chance to stretch out to a longer distance. Generally speaking, that's something that will produce more speed, especially when you go first time sprint to a route. However, in this case, there's nobody that really fits that profile. They've all been running anywhere from a mile and a 16th to a mile and a quarter, and nobody's going to really have that advantage. The other thing I look for is when you get a speed jockey taking over from another jockey, and a jockey that will break them out of the gate a little more quickly will generally be an advantage to a horse that has not been run that way before. And in this case, I see two of them that might have that switch advantage. Number two, Heredia, picks up Juan Hernandez, and number seven, Musical Rhapsody, gets Ricardo Gonzalez. And obviously, Hernandez is the much stronger jock of the two. But both of these are Sen jocks. Edwin Maldonado, of course, is another one. He's not in this race, and he's really having a rough meet. I think he's 0 for 35. So maybe just as well that he's not in this race. But yeah, I think that's something that you can look at as one thing that might get a horse to show a little more speed.
Yeah, I think Mike Smith should be included in that bunch too. But you pick out a couple of really good guys from Southern California in Gonzalez and Maldonado. It's a very, very good point. A jockey switch, or even a jockey like that has that tendency, because these are good races to try to go wire to wire in and try to visualize someone who's going to go wire to wire.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye for these angles, Steve, and we'll see if they pan out. So let's break this down horse by horse. Tell me what you think of the rail horse, Hang the Moon.
What a nice horse this is. Um, we know a lot of these connections, by the way. This horse's part owner is Mike Joyce, TVG. Just a super, super nice guy.
Oh
And
yeah, our old friend from Inside Racing.
our old friend from Inside Racing. In fact, the last time I saw Mike, and it's amazing, every time I see him, he's like, I only see you like once out of every 3 years. Well, Mike, I've become the ultimate bubble boy, and I am. This is about as far as I get from my upstairs, because I'm actually downstairs in my dining room. But the reality is that this horse has a great kick, and this horse does fit the bill for one of those horses. Remember, I said the pace is going to be really slow and have that kick. Not sure I love the rider. Not sure I love the draw. Actually, when I love the rail draw at Del Mar all the time, but the rail's at 18, so there's a little bit more room than what we had today when it was out double that. But with the rail at 18, I think Hang the Moon is definitely a contender. This horse has a great late kick. Here's the negative. I'm going to tell you this because there's 4 horses in here that are layoff horses for the same trainer. Same trainer, right? Okay, Phil D'Amato. And here's the deal with Phil. Look at Phil every single time we get to halfway to the meet, and we're getting close to halfway. He's at 15%. It's unbelievable. And he'll finish over 20 because second time Phil is a real thing. He figures them out where he's supposed to run them. And 2, coming off the layoff, they're not as tight as they could be. And he just does better second off the layoff. Second time Phil, second time anything. Guy's great at making adjustments. Doesn't mean he can't win. 15% is very good. He's just 25 when they've had a race. So Hang the Moon, very, very strong horse in here. I'm going to try to beat the horse, but very strong and has the right credentials to try to win this race with that big kick.
Yeah, Steve, he's had several. This one likes to space his races out, her races out, and she's won a couple of them off layoffs. Didn't win the last one, but the won the last 2, including the John C. Maybe last time at Del Mar under Kimura. So this one can respond off a layoff. We look at the works, and they're kind of pedestrian. They're nothing to write home about. But if you look at the that July 14th race at Santa Anita, that was fairly sharp. And if you want to say the horse got into condition then, and these last 3 have just been maintenance works to kind of keep in condition, then you can say Hang the Moon is a contender here. And certainly Jeff Siegel thinks so because he's made her a 3-to-1 choice. So I'll move on and talk about number 2, Heredia, at this point. Heredia has a lot of back class. Back in 2023, this horse was doing very well. And in the last race, in that Group 1 Sun Chariot race, that's a $350,000 race in England, and that's a lot of money back there. The purses are not as large as back here, with certain exceptions like the big races at the Ascot. I mean, like that King George and Queen Elizabeth race, or the Epsom Derby. There's some exceptions, but generally the purses are lower. So that's a big purse for England. And if you look, the horse that one finished behind in Spiral, that horse came over here and won the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. So this
Was
horse has been,
amazing, by the way. And Spiral was, she stole the show that day. Remember, Jay?
yeah. Yeah, so I think this one's certainly been knocking heads with the best horses in the race, and then something went amiss. The wheels came off because missed a year and a half, and then came back this spring at Belmont at Aqueduct and ran in the Grade 3 Bogey to a really good horse, dynamic pricing, and finished a strong third, and then picked up the speed figures by a couple of points when they went to Saratoga in an overnight stakes there, which is probably a conditioner for this one. Dynamic pricing, that was an impressive showing of that. The speed figures do not measure up with the best horses here, but I do want to point out that generally the Eastern competition is tougher, and when horses come out here, it can be almost a class drop. That Grade 3 Bogey may have been actually a tougher field than this Grade 2 Yellow Ribbon. So with Juan Hernandez taking them out, I have to give Heredia a significant shot in here.
Yeah, you know what? You can't use speed figures for this kind of horse because there's a on rag sheets they'll say there's a big P on this horse with both races. Both races in this horse's PPs have been very, very slow. They haven't run at all early. And man, was she good late. She flew late. Love her race on tape last time. Give her a big shot in here. Jay, you analyzed this horse very, very well. You analyzed it the same way I would. My only knock on her, and again, I'm not telling you who I'm going with first. My only knock on her at all is that she's a 6-year-old now, and she ran October 23rd in 2023, and then had that year and a half layoff. This is the third start off a layoff. The wheels start to come off sometimes. You got them off a year and a half, and the third start off a layoff isn't the best there. And that is statistically true from Ragozin from a lot of races. But I think this horse's race on tape was fabulous, and I think she's going to be very, very tough to beat in here.
Very good. Steve, what do you think of Liguria?
She's a good one, too. She won over this track at 2. She has that for an advantage. And you got great connections. I think Be Your Best just sort of ran around the track on the lead, and she made a late run in there. Got outrun by Lady Claypool, who keeps outrunning her odds. I couldn't see, if you like Liguria, I couldn't see throwing her off of a trifecta ticket. She's not going to be in my top 3. 7-2 is a little short on her for me, but I could actually see her winning the race. She has been running in races with a lot faster pace. That was something that I circled that I didn't like about her, so I'm going to go against her today. But again, a very competitive race. She's 1 for 1 over the track. And I can't blame you, Jay, if you're putting this one in your top 3. I'm going to pass on her.
I'm still narrowing down that top 3, Steve. I kind of do that on the spur of the moment, actually. I don't plan that ahead of time. But I will say this, Liguria's been competitive with some of the other horses in this race. Very close finish to Mahina. Couldn't quite keep up with Mission of Joy, though. But certainly loves Del Mar. Perfect 1 for 1 here, so really took to the course. Umberto Rispoli is arguably the best turf jock in this race, with Flavian Prad out of town. And though I know Hector Barrios is going to say, now, wait a minute, Jay, don't forget about me. But yeah, Umberto Rispoli riding Liguria, this is a contender for my top 3. And
Okay.
now we move on to Public Assembly, where you have the very talented Antonio Ferzu, again coming off that Santa Anita meet win, his first win of a major meet since he's come here. Equally adept on dirt and turf. He's not the best dirt rider in the race. That's Juan Hernandez. He's not the best turf rider in the race. He's probably a half a step below both Rispoli and Barrios, but he's a talented rider either way you go. This one drops out of a tougher race. This one ran in the Grade 1 Gamely and ran okay in the Grade 1 Gamely. Was a pace factor at least for most of the way, and then fell off late and fell off behind Liguria. This one has not run at Del Mar before. Right now, I would have to say, based on competition, he's not really. I keep saying she's not really in my top three, but if you want to look at the Grade 1 Gamely as a throwout for being overmatched, this is a Grade 2 race, so kind of drops back with more of her friends. That Grade 3 Royal Heroine with a big speed figure, that's a 94 bris figure, and that figure would make Public Assembly very competitive here. I can't throw her out.
Yeah, but I didn't like the Royal Heroine. I thought they came down the stretch pretty normal. It was just a very average bunch of horses to me. She got outrun by Liguria last time at 5-1. I couldn't totally throw her out as well. This is a very competitive race, but I'm going to try to beat her at 5-1, especially.
Okay, would that horse that you're going to try to beat her with be number 5 Watchtower, perhaps?
Well, I mean, I'm not using Public Assembly, so I think Watchtower actually is an interesting horse in here, and I know a little bit about this horse, maybe more than most horses, because I do know some of the ownership of this horse, and they've been talking to me about this horse. So I've been watching her right from the beginning. When she won at Gulfstream and when she won at Tampa, she never changed leads. When she ran second to Tahini here at this track last year, she didn't change leads. She's a 4-year-old with a layoff from January, which means that is when these horses can run better. She's slower on sheets for sure, but this is the time that these horses can run better. You get DeMuro, who I've been looking to win a race, and I don't think that she's that far from these if she takes that step forward. And I know where she can improve. Now she has turf works down there. Okay. I do get workouts that I pay for every night, and I will not get them until the night before this race. So if I'm going to key her on top, I'm going to probably want to know what those works said. Did she work well over the track? Because that's going to really help me. But this is the kind of horse that in the long run has made me a lot of money because she will outrun her odds very often, and very often will be in that 20-1 range because I do not think she'll get bet in this race. And I know that she's a contender in here if she takes a step or two forward, if she can do that lead switching. And this is right where they can. This layoff to me is a positive layoff. When I see a horse like Ligura at 5 years old, now Ligura's layoff is not as long, but if I see a 5-year-old off of that long of a layoff, I get concerned. But when I see a horse that's 4 years old and I see a layoff, then I think improvement. 3 years old, improvement. 5 years old, 6 years old, they're just trying to get back to that top. If you're a sheet reader, you'll learn that it's very difficult for these horses to get back to that. But when they're 3 and 4, they can still improve. And this horse can do that. And that's why she has a chance at a price.
Yeah, you look at those 2 bullet works at the bottom and say, wow, she's working fast, but is she working well? That's the kind of thing that's better assessed by some of the private clockers out there, like Andy Harrington and some of the other top clockers. I will say that you look at the last 2 races and the form looks dull to bad, but then you look at the company she was keeping and she was facing She Feels Pretty and Be Your Best. Those are 2 of the best turf mares in the country. So that kind of mitigates the fact that she finished far behind. When she wasn't facing Amazons like that, 3 firsts and 2 seconds in the last 5 starts. Including winning the Autumn Miss at Santa Anita. So
She's still got to get better, though, Jay, no matter how we slice it. She does have to get better.
absolutely. But yeah, this one will certainly blow up some exotics. And Steve, if you think she has a chance to win, the price is going to be there for you.
Yeah.
Looking at a horse I like here, and that's number 6, Mission of Joy. Mission of Joy is another horse that I think has been facing much better Eastern company. Some of the better tracks over back east, these turf races tend to just outclass ours. And when these horses ship over here, they tend to improve because the company is just not as good. So this one, even though has only won 1 race in the last several, and that race was a classified allowance slash slash optional claimer. That one was ridden by Arad Ortiz, and when Arad gets on, certainly you know that he thinks something about the horse. And when I look at some of the ones this has been facing and some of the company this one's kept, I think this one's a fit here. And I think you're going to get the 6-1. As you mentioned, another Phil D'Amato horse, and Phil does pretty well with these shippers. So I give Mission of Joy a chance here.
Well, she was only beaten what, 4 lengths to Chili Flag in a grade 2 race at Churchill Downs last year. Chili Flag beat her by a half a length the next time out, and White Beam. Those are 2 horses that are better than these horses. So this horse certainly is another one that fits in here. Will she have the kick? She's got an outside draw for 1, and I'm not so sure that she meets either of the requirements for me that I was trying to get for this race, because she's going to go wide. She doesn't really have as much of a late kick as a couple of these, and then she doesn't really have the speed to take the lead. So that's why I'm passing on Mission of Joy, but you really make some excellent points. And she has definitely faced horses that are as good as these. I don't know that I agree with you all the time when you say the East Coast horses that come out here are better than that. They always face better competition. And I think there needs to be more of a deep dive on some of those races, because sometimes they are better races and sometimes they're not better races. But to me, I'm going to agree with you on this one that she has been facing better. And I think she could be a contender in here. But again, it's first time Phil. This one's not coming off a layoff, which is a plus. His horses do run better. And first time with the trainer, he's 19% with 126 starts. A lot of pluses, but I'm going to pass on her because I think she loses ground, and I don't think she has the kick that you want. So again, could see her winning, but I'm going to pass on this one.
All right. Yet another Phil D'Amato, Steve. Number 7, Musical Rhapsody. What's your take?
Never liked this filly. I've never liked her. She's a big, big filly. I think off this kind of a layoff, I think she might show some speed. I kind of, earlier in her career, she was showing speed. They're putting Gonzalez in the saddle. They've got 3 other horses in the race. Maybe he wants a faster pace. So remember, we were trying to visualize that, where we were talking about who was the speed. But I just don't like this filly, and I don't think she can beat better horses than she's been facing when she hasn't been winning anyway. She's usually bet. I think she's a go against in here.
Okay. I do think that Musical Rhapsody will be a contender for that pace in this paceless race. If you look at where this one is, while she's never been up there at the first call, at the second call, she's been within a zip code, within shouting distance of the
No
lead.
doubt.
And
She should
so
be on the lead.
yeah, this one could be the one that, especially with a Sen jock like Gonzalez,
Mhm.
they might look at this and, Phil's gonna, basically coach his different riders strategically, and he's gonna tell them, where he wants them. He doesn't want them banging heads early. He's gonna want to space them out a little bit. And I've got to think that, I don't know if all the D'Amato horses in this race are going to go. Maybe 1 or 2 of them were entered to make sure the race goes and is competitive. In fact, I'd be surprised if at least one D'Amato horse didn't scratch. But this would, I think, be the one that he coaches to the front, and we'll see what she can do with that. I don't. She hasn't seen the early front in some time, but we'll see what happens today. And then
I think it's
finally,
good handicapping, Jay, and I think she does go to the lead. I just think she lacks the quality to beat these, and I'm gonna pass on her. But I think you did a very good job in analyzing her.
well, thanks, Steve. And then the final horse in the race, that's number 8, Mahina, ridden by the other guy contending for the best turf rider in the race, Hector Barrios. And Mahina draws the far outside, and that's probably not the ideal spot in a race like this, though the outside has been playing a little better this meet, hasn't it?
Well, I mean, the outside's been winning the last year. It did during the Breeders' Cup run there. The outside was doing fine. If you got enough speed in a race, I think it's better with the rails out. I'd rather have an inside trip and save ground, especially when the rails are out where they're at. They're out a little bit. They're not out a ton, 18 feet. So they're out halfway.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more than a little bit. But, Mahina to me is a horse that if you look at all of her races, she's had a fast pace in most of those races. And if you look at the races down at the bottom, when she had 49 and change, and she had 49 and 4 at Del Mar, she was nowhere within 5 lengths of the pace at the final call. So I think she's a horse that we can go against, Barrios and all, which may cost me because this guy wins races. but I'm going to pass on this horse today.
Yeah, I'm not quite so ready to do so. I'm not crazy at all about the 0 for 5 record at Del Mar and not even hitting the board. So that's a major negative here. And this one's not coming out of terrific competition. The last two races, have been overnight handicaps and yeah, not exactly world beaters. Mrs. Astor's not a bad horse. But this one in the last race, I certainly have to like how she really just drilled down and really pressed that pace and just got within a nose of Mrs. Astor. And again, in this paceless race, this one's been up closest. This one could be the one that goes to the lead and not musical Rhapsody. This one might be the one that beats her to the pace. We'll see. It's going to be kind of a rider's race. But I do think Mahina, who has a slight win over Liguria in the Grade 3 megahertz, is a horse that is measures in quality with these, and so I will give Mahina a chance. I am not throwing Mahina out. So Steve, horse number 3, who's your third best horse to win this race?
I'm going to use my long shot in here, Watchtower. She's got to improve a ton, but she's at the right age. And again, folks, if not for this horse, and I say this a lot, this is the kind of a developing horse that you will get a price on, a 4-year-old that ran races as a 3-year-old that you see reasons why they can run better. I'm putting her third, but I'm going to use her in the exotics in this race.
Okay. My third horse is going to be number 6, Mission of Joy. I think this one has just been facing some of the better horses in the race. I don't know if this has been facing the very best class of horses in the race. I think that's probably Heredia. However, Heredia hasn't been facing that class of horse in a while. And I do think that Mission of Joy will pick it up here. I think this one has the right style for this. Has not been that far. I mean, last time out was got off to a bad start and was pretty far back. The two before that was certainly near the pace by the second call. So this is another one that could fight and emerge with that early lead. It's just kind of hard to say because most of these horses don't do it. But I think Mission of Joy is a real contender here and is definitely one of my top 3 to have a chance to win this. You're number 2.
Number 2, I'm going to go with Hang the Moon, who I think is the most talented horse in the race. She's got an incredible kick. She's going to have to deal with the rail, and trip might be a thing for her. But I think overall, she's as talented as anybody in the race. So I'm going to put her second.
Okay. I am actually going to go with Mahina. I think that pace pressing style in a race like this will be advantageous. I think Hector Barrios will get her out of that 8 post pretty early. I think with not a lot of speed to go around, I think you're going to see Mahina, even if she doesn't make the lead early, will pretty quickly overcome that 8 post and be by probably around the 3 path, going around that first turn. And I think that's a favorable place to be. She'll be outside of any other speed that develops. That's always an advantage to me. I give Mahina a shot here despite that horrible 0 for 5 record at Del Mar.
I hate that trip at Del Mar. Hate that trip. If that's where she is, I
She
hate
is.
it. If you're 3 wide going into the first turn, and that's where you hope she's going to be, because they're coming out of the chute. So remember, it bends to the left first. So if you're wide going around that turn and you're 3 wide going around the second turn on a slow pace, you're going to get beat by the horse on the inside of you, and you're going to get beat by the horses behind you, even if you're a better horse, which I don't think she is. So hopefully that's not the trip that she gets, and Barrios can find a better spot than that. But if that's where she is, I don't like her chances.
Okay, and it's time for number 1, Steve.
I like Heredia at number 1. I was very impressed with her race on tape. There's a gamble there that she's going to go back and regress a little bit because she had that over the year layoff. But I love both of her races in New York, and I really, really liked the way she kicked last time. Very impressive to me the way she came home. And I think if she comes home on a slow pace like she did there, I think she's going to get the money.
Steve, I usually like to go opposite you with the top horse, but I can't do it today. I mean,
No,
Heredia was a standout to me. I think she is circling.
no.
I think she's circling back to those big races back in Europe, which would just trounce these. I mean, those races in Europe were against so much better competition. And the question, of course, is she still that horse? Because again, the figures have not been outstanding. But yeah, I also think Heredia with Juan Hernandez aboard is going to be very, very tough to beat. And now that we both like her, Steve, I think we've absolutely killed her chances.
Oh no, come on. We know better than that. I really like what I saw on tape from her. She just very, very solid. The when I saw Inspiral in the running lines, and I saw that she was only beaten by 4 just before Inspiral came over and crushed in the Breeders' Cup. That made me realize, look, I'm getting 4-1. If I can get 4-1, hopefully we can, but we're getting 4-1. Only thing I'm worried about is that back bounce because we had that year and a half layoff, third start in now. Got a really good trainer with Graham Motion. We got a great draw. We got a good rider. Yeah, there's not much pace, but she's already ran in a race with no pace. So we're on the same horse, Jay.
Absolutely. It had to happen eventually, Steve, right?
I'm glad it did. Yeah,
Yeah.
we do agree. We look at things a little bit differently. We do agree. And again, we've both gone a completely different path to get here. With a bunch of years, we're not going to date ourselves, but 30 plus years, maybe more than that, of handicapping for both of us. And we've ended on the same horse here after all that time.
Yeah. So, Steve, I guess it's time to give out our handicapping races of the week. And well, let's do these chronologically. And since your race is on Friday, why don't you go first with your Friday race?
I knew the races fell. Might have you take over here for a second because I think my race fell on the floor. Hang on one second, Jay. Take over with something here. Let me find
No
it.
problem. I did want to mention, since we were leaving Del Mar here, I just want to point out, since we have a little time here, the other feature race on the card is the Grade 3 Best Pal, and it's not really something to analyze because it's a 5 horse field. But the question becomes
Oh yeah.
is there a way where you can profitably play a 5 horse field when there's a big favorite? Desert Gate is 3 to 5, very deserving at a 95 bris figure, 13 points higher than the next best horse. And the question becomes, is there a way that you can make any money on these fields, or are they just an automatic pass? And my answer is, if there's a key for the first horse, the only way that I'll play these races, and if you can make some money on it, is there a key for the second horse? And when I say the second horse, generally you're looking at some kind of exotic. Let's face it, with 5 horses, that's extremely short, and it's hard to really look at being able to make any money with a 5 horse field in any way. But in this particular case, I think it's an example where there is a play and there's one play and one play only. And that's a key to the second fastest horse in the race on figures, and that's number 4, Pavlovian. Pavlovian, with that 82 bris figure, is the second best horse. It's the kind of figure where if you took Desert Gate out of the race, Pavlovian would be a lot shorter than 8 to 1. I'll tell you that. That's kind of a gift on Pavlovian. Doug O'Neill and Umberto Rispoli, 2 for 4. So, as my example here, it would be a one-way exacta, Desert Gate to Pavlovian straight up, and throw out anything else and just concentrate on one bet you might be able to make some money on. And that's what I would do. Steve, you might have some different ideas.
Well, look, the thing about 5 horse fields is there's a really good chance if you're looking at the theories of Ragusan and Thorograph, there's always a good chance that somebody bounces off a race and that maybe the best horse doesn't run their best race. And so what you're saying there, looking at the second best horse, if you're going to get that kind of a price, isn't really a bad thing to do. What I will say that is this: I try to analyze all the races and then come up with a conclusion at the end. I did catch as my first good price horse in the NHC this year. There was a 5 horse race in which I did not like the favorite and I did not like the second favorite. And I kept looking at the 3 price horses in the race. It was a 2 to 5 and a 6 to 5 in the race. And I kept looking at this horse in the race. And the next thing you know, this horse went off at 18 to 1. And that's how I got started in my score in the NHC. And I caught this horse at 18-1 in a 5-horse race. And it was funny because the guys I was at the table with, none of them looked at the race. The bottom line is take a look at the races with 5 horses and analyze them the same way you always do. And there may be a value horse in there. Again, according to the theories of Ragozin and Thoroughgraph, there can always be a bounce on a horse that's a lot faster than the other horses. And we know any horse can have a bad day, including fierceness. So, again, evaluate each as it comes. You'll see 5, 6 horse races where price horses do win, and just see, again, you brought one up. I haven't looked at that race that you're talking about, but it sounds to me like the second fastest horse is 8-1 in a race where if you think that horse can get position, that horse is going to win more than 1 out of 8 times. So look at each of them individually and take it one at a time. And, you don't always have to press for a price. Sometimes they're a pass. If you think the 1-5 shot is going to win, can I play a pick 5? Can I play a pick 4? And is there value singling that horse if he's going to be a winner? Or do I skip that race and play maybe the late double at Del Mar because I've got that low takeout on the late double? I've got the low takeout on the pick 3. So if it's the first race in there, can I skip that race and somehow play something else instead? Or is it a pick 6 single? I mean, there's a lot of things to ask yourself, but don't just give up on a 5-horse race and don't give in to the 3-5 shot or a 1-5 shot that you think is going to win, because there might be something else. And I think you brought up the good point there with that 8-1 shot that you thought the second fastest horse at 8-1 is never a bad angle.
Yeah. So, Steve, let's move on to Del Mar on Friday. We'll shift days here. You're going to look at race 6. This is a maiden claimer, $50,000 maiden claimer on the turf. Always a challenge when several of the horses haven't run on turf before. The favorite is 8-5 Crazy Cavalier. Take it away.
Yeah, you know what? That's the key for me, Jay. That Crazy Cavalier is in here. He's had how many consecutive races in a row now? This horse he's 0 for 11 with 6 seconds. He's had a race where he went off at 2-1 or less 3 times, and he's been favored 3 times. One of the times he was less than 2-1, but wasn't the favorite. And this horse has been beaten. I know this horse. He's a beatable horse. You can get in front of him, and you can outgame him to the wire. And again, this is the kind of horse that at 50,000, he's been here forever and was claimed. So that makes me want to look extra hard in here. Now, here's 2 things that I like about this race before we get to the horse I like. Speed is won pretty good at the mile distance. 7 out of 21 races have been won wire to wire. So that's a good plus. The other plus is the rail's at 30 feet. So the horses on the inside saving the ground, you watch those races today, they just have a tough time getting out. Tyler Bays with a great ride in the last race, but Kimura got trapped on the best horse in the 5th race and was unable to get out. And that happens about half the time. These horses that get the inside trips, they just don't get out. And that's why I sometimes like speed or outside trips. I like the 6th horse in here, Irish Whiskey. 12-1 morning line in a big field of 10 here. This horse is clearly the speed of the speed. They didn't break very good at Oaklawn in the slop last time. And this horse was really pulling, and I thought really wanted to run and really ran well on tape all the way to the turn. This is definitely a speed horse. There is some turf breeding. I really believe that this horse's pedigree, the dam of this one, Saucy Symphony, won a race on turf, wire to wire at Tampa at 50-1. So there is some definite bottom side breeding in here, which I really like. I like the fact that Tyler is in the irons. I gave her a 94 number on Brisnet. Now the 1 has a similar number, but the 1 is inside with Asael Espinoza, and it's a little bit faster for Tyler. Tyler's going to have the intent, and really for this horse to win, I think this one needs to get the lead. I'm not really that fond of the favorite, but I really didn't come up with anybody else in here. So for me, the play is number 6, Irish Whiskey, to win in place, 12-1 morning line. I think if we get 10, that would be a decent play, especially with these rails way out. It's the 6, Irish Whiskey, in the 6th race out at Del Mar tomorrow on Friday.
All right, that's a price. And in these maiden claiming turf races, a price is always a good thing because you have a lot of unknown factors. And like you say, this one has some turf breeding. I like that turf breeding. I like Union Rag. So rooting for you on Irish Whiskey there, Steve.
All right, Jay, what do you have for us? The hot guy that carried us last week. That was a fantastic pick. Folks, I'm telling you, take a look at the charts and how good that trifecta payout was. as one of the better ones of the meet. I can guarantee you that. Top three. Very, very nice pick there last week and the way you laid that out. What do you have for us this weekend?
Well, thank you, Steve. And before we finish tooting my own horn here, just wanted to mention that I have had a couple of nice double-digit winners, and I was proud to have knocked off the big Baffert favorite on Saturday in that maiden race, where Bourbon and Ginger defeated Mistrial, who just really didn't run a race, but I really like the rest.
Horse missed the break really badly and got shut off. That was a throwout, but you did beat it.
I'll take it. I'll take that $12.80. And then Sunday was also a decent day for double-digit horses. In basically a blanket finish, I liked Say Bella. I thought had most upside come out of that race. Say Bella won and finished 14:20. And also a little later in the card, I'm sorry, a little bit earlier in the card, there was another double-digit horse, and that was who the heck was that? Oh, Rob Arando. That one was shipping in from Turf Paradise, and just kind of was surprising. That one was really clunking up from the back at Turf Paradise and in the last race. And SEL Espinoza, really underrated rider, just kind of put her to the lead. And, she made the lead, on the top of the turn and just never looked back, won easily. So we'll see if we can duplicate those success today, Steve. Let's see if we can both deliver some big winners today. And I'm going to look at Colonial Downs first, and I'm going to look at Colonial Downs, and I'm going to look at the Secretariat. And the Secretariat is a grade two. And just a reminder, I am giving out the first five races the last five races. They're not even the last five races, but they're the five stakes races. Let's go with that. In the Colonial Downs card, including the pick four. And there's a nice price in that first leg, by the way. So this pick four could pay something. But we're going to look at the second race here, and we're going to look at we're going to try to knock off the big favorite here, and that's Dream On. Dream On ran in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, and despite a nice start and leading most of the way, kind of faded late. Still only finished 2 1/4 back, but based on those credentials and winning the Penn Mile last time, Dream On is a deserving 5-2 favorite. But I like the up and comer from Bill Mott, and that's number four, Simulate. Simulate ships out here. Junior Alvarado, Bill Mott's first call rider, takes them out. This one is making his stakes debut, but it's the fastest figure in the field under Junior Alvarado. Just sat off the pace, kicked in, and won nicely to win second out of four races. And I think Simulate has a chance to improve because these three-year-olds are always, capable of improving this early in their career with only four races. Liking number four, Simulate, to take this as an upset pick. And right behind Simulate, I'm going to look at number five, Antisocial. Antisocial actually beat Simulate two back, but I think Simulate has improved past him. Antisocial still improved as well, but not as much. From that race, their common race, Antisocial improved to a 91 bris figure, where Simulate improved to a 95 bris figure. So Antisocial comes from the Jorge Duarte barn. Jorge's having a hell of a meet. 30% wins. So I think an 8-1 and a 10-1 shot here. I think this is a conceivable trifecta, and we'll play it very simply. We're going to play a 4-5 with 4-5 with all. We'll play a 4-5 with all with 4-5. And because there could be potential for another price in here, we're going to play an exacta as well. We'll play a 4 with all and all with 4. Hopefully we cash both tickets.
Yeah, you can cash on the 4-5 and on the try. So you can cash on both tickets. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. You said you had a race at Del Mar as well?
We do, and this one will not be as large a price as some of the ones we've been playing, but it's a race I think has a strong chance to win, and we're going to try to beat a favorite here. The favorite here that we're going to try to beat in race 8, which is 5.5 furlongs on the dirt. We're going to try to knock off number 11, Broadway Unions, who is the 8-5 favorite. And I think a lot of that 8-5 favoritism is on the strength of leading jock Juan Hernandez being added to the saddle. This one doesn't have a lot of speed. The maiden breaker was certainly impressive. 11 length maiden breaker. The turf race was okay. The dirt race, this one did not get out well, and did clunk up to finish second. But this one, if you look at the past performances in Broadway Union's maiden career, this one finished behind number 7, Majestic Palisades. Majestic Palisades has been facing better competition since the maiden breaker and did pretty well at that 12,500 level, setting the pace and almost holding on. And from that, that horse was claimed by Sergio Morfin. Morfin is getting 20% wins on class droppers, and Morfin basically hiked this one up to 25,000, and that kind of got some conditioning races into Majestic Palisades, and now drops Majestic Palisades back where he belongs, back with his friends. In slightly disguised form, off a 10 length loss and a 7 length loss, Majestic Palisades is the 7-2 second or third choice here. Anyway, behind Broadway Unions, and I think this one will be a value. And I think with a lower profile rider in Kazushi Kimura, Kazushi does not attract the kind of attention that Juan Hernandez certainly does. I think you're going to get that price and maybe even a little bit more. 7-2 is not going to get you rich on the win end, but we will play a trifecta here as well. And we will also include in this one, we'll use number 3 as well. Number 3 was, give me a second to scroll back up. Oops. Number 3, Spiritist, under your favorite jock, or one of them anyway, Armando Ayuso. Spiritist, gave Broadway Unions a competitive run before fading late. And certainly I don't like Spiritist on the win end so much. Jerry Wallace is not having a big meet on the win end, but I think Spiritist is one that could blow up the trifecta at a nice price. So we're going to play it like this, Steve. We're going to play a 50-cent trifecta, number 7, Majestic Palisades, with 311 with all. We're going to play a 7 with all with 311, and then we're going to play a third ticket, 3-7-11 with 3-7-11 with all. So if Spiritist surprised me and pops up and wins, we're going to get paid.
All right, Jay. Before we wrap it up here, I just want to remind everybody, Casino House Parties has been sponsoring us every step of the way. They've been very, very good to us. If you want to have a party at your house, craps, roulette, blackjack, Vegas style, they'll bring it right to your house, casinohousepart.com. Please look them up, and please use the code SADDLEUP50. You will get $50 off your first booking. And again, if you're thinking about something for Christmas time, now's the time to do it because they do book up fast. So if you're thinking about doing something at Christmas and you want to book them right now, you can do that. Again, go to their website, casinohouseparties.com. And the code, J, is SaddleUp50.
Yes, please use that code. We want them to know where you found them. And we're hoping to send some more business their way. They do a terrific job. So, Steve, that is the show for the week, and it'll be your turn to host next week. We're going to start to ramp up to the Pacific Classic. The entire month of August is filled with terrific races, so looking forward to that show next week.
Yeah, me too, Jay. I got to be honest with you. I don't even know what's coming next week. I just think it's another great race, a great racing weekend. And I've been kind of just looking Friday, Saturday. I'm really excited about the next couple of days. I haven't even looked at Sunday, but in the short run, it looks great. And I'm sure that we'll have something great to go over next weekend as well.
Well, let's take a quick look. Since it's YouTube, we have time. We don't have any sponsors getting us to get off the air here. So I will tell you that next week at Santa Anita, what we're going to look at here as I look at the stakes tracker really quickly, we are going to be looking at we have coming up. We have the let's see on okay. This is okay. That's during the week. Okay, and Steve, next week it is Del Mar Oaks Day. So the grade 1
Man,
Del
that's a
Mar
fun one.
Oaks
That is
with
a great race.
with
Mile and an eighth on the turf for 3-year-old fillies. One of my favorite races, and the runners out of the San Clemente will all be in there. And what else do we have to look forward to?
that okay, and thought processes are probable for that one.
Oh boy,
And then also
that's
on
not
the
good.
On the other coast, kind of a parallel race to that, we have the Grade One Alabama, also for 3-year-old fillies.
That's
And
always
there are a slew of talented horses that are nominated for that one, including Nitrogen, including La Cara, including Good Cheer, who was undefeated until recently. So that's going to be a throwdown. So it's 3-year-old fillies week, Steve. You've got some good ones to cover.
Yeah, that's great. I'm excited about the 3-year-old filly race at Saratoga, and I'm wide open, really looking for horse to win the Breeders' Cup Distaff this year because could be a 3-year-old, could be somebody getting good at the right now because it seems like the older horse is a little bit over the top. Baffert looked really good last week. I will say that. That's a horse that's a contender. It's been a long time since Baffert's won that race, so I'm still looking elsewhere. That might be the horse in front, but only by a nose right now.
Yeah. So next week, Steve, take it away. And in the meantime, let's make some money this weekend. Again, it's always beautiful weather at Del Mar. Go out there, enjoy it, have some fun, and let's make some bucks.
Absolutely. Have a great one out there, everybody, and we'll look forward to talking to everybody next week.
All right. And